Hello, everybody. This is your favorite Bronze Age comic book podcast, Flea Market Fantasy. I am your co-host, Mike L., and as always, I'm joined by
Michael Dell of the LCS Hockey Radio Show.
That's right, and once again, we have a returning guest host this week. Will you please say hello, G.I.Jolie?
Hello, everybody.
Jolie, welcome back. Now, let me take care of an accounting error that I made. The last time you were on, Jolie, I said it was your second appearance. But actually, it was your third appearance.
What?
Yeah, because remember, we recorded 2 episodes on one day around Christmas time. So you were here for the Christmas with the Superheroes, where Prostitute Superman. And then we did Iron Man, or Power Man and Iron Fist. Remember that?
I completely forgot about that. Holy moly.
So memorable. I forgot.
So then you were here recently for the Ninja Turtles. And now you're here again for this week. So that's 4 appearances.
Whoa.
And now we've said all along that if a guest comes on 5 times, we give him a smoking jacket. So I think this means, Jolie, this was probably going to be your final appearance because we're really cheap and we do not want to buy someone a smoking jacket.
Smoking jackets are non-essential right now. So.
Oh, loophole. Yeah, we don't have
There you go.
I get it.
Yeah, all right. So we'll just put an asterisk next to that. In case of a global pandemic, we don't have to buy you a smoking jacket. So, all right.
That goes for everybody else too, cousin Brandon.
Yeah, well, you got a 2 appearance lead now on everybody. You're like starting to break away from the pack. Yeah, so.
I'm just trying to push Larry out.
Hi, welcome. All right, Michael. So tell the kids what we're doing this week.
Yes, we're going back to 1980, I believe, right? 1980? Yeah. New Teen Titans number 2. So it's very confusing, but this is volume 1 of the new Teen Titans, but there'd already been a Teen Titans before this.
Yeah, we'll get into the history in a minute.
Yeah.
But Michael, why did you pick this issue?
Well, I like to tie things together, and so last episode, Mike Dell picked the first appearance of Taskmaster, created by George Perez, and since Deathstroke the Terminator has almost exactly the same costume, and he was also created by George Perez. I figured we'd, review an issue of Teen Titans, his first appearance.
Yep, his first appearance of Deathstroke the Terminator, and he is a complete ripoff of Taskmaster.
Yes, he is. Yep.
Now, Jolie, how do you feel about the Teen Titans? Are you familiar with their work?
I am familiar. Yeah, they're very accomplished published writers. Now, I guess so. I know their names, which I was surprised about. Yeah. I kind of get what they all do. I didn't realize that there are, so many of them. I guess when you think about it, your mind immediately thinks, maybe they're like 3 or 4. There's like 6 of them. 6 or 7? 6.
Yeah, I think there's 7, right?
7. Let's go back to there's 7 of them. So
that's a lot.
Yeah. It's a lot to keep track of. They kept appearing. And then they kept appearing in bathing suits. And I was like, what?
Yes.
What's happening?
We'll talk about that because, Michael, at least 3 times in this issue, I thought a porn was going to break out.
Yeah. If only, right?
It's pretty rough. All right. So, but you've never read Teen Titans, Jolie.
No, I've tried, and I've owned because I buy single issues that I find in like quarter bins, just because I really like the art of George Perez. But I've never gotten a run of them.
Okay. In
order to read them, so
I have only read 1 issue, Teen Titans and the X-Men, the crossover they did, which I mentioned last week. Walt Simonson was the artist on that, and I am familiar though with them, Michael, because I have 2 nephews.
Okay.
The older nephew, when he was a kid, he loved the Teen Titans. So I got him all the toys. We watched the cartoon, played video games. So I'm familiar with like the basic Teen Titan stuff. But then, Michael, I realized my nephew is now 19 years old. And that was like 15 years ago.
Wow.
And I am so old.
Uh-huh. I know the feeling.
Very depressed.
Yeah.
But going back to what Jolie said about being so many of them, because I think from my experience with my nephew, I remember Robin, Cyborg, Beast Boy, Raven, and Starfire.
Yeah.
But in this team here, we also get Kid Flash, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's someone else Who else am I missing?
Did you say Changeling?
Well, Beast Boy. He was called Beast Boy.
Oh, okay, yeah. Starfire. Wonder Girl. Sorry.
Wonder Girl. Yep, there it is. Yeah, she wasn't there. So there, I'm more used to the 5, and now this is 7. So that's 2 extra teens just for you, Michael. Enjoy. So, but Michael, were you a big Teen Titans fan?
I was never a huge fan, but as you are aware, I'm a huge fan of Crisis on Infinite Earths, right? And that is by Marv Wolfman and George Perez.
Yes.
And so that kind of made me a Perez fan for life. And so I definitely had scattered issues of New Teen Titans, and I had the Baxter series that came later. I had the first 5 issues of that. But I mean, I definitely liked the stories, but I was never a huge fan of Marv Wolfman.
Yeah.
And so, I always considered this kind of like DC's version of the X-Men, and I guess it kind of just shows that I obviously liked Chris Claremont's writing better because I've read like pretty much every X-Men he ever wrote. So,
yeah, there's definitely an X-Men kind of vibe here. Because keep in mind, this is 80, so like the X-Men were super popular, like 77, 78, 79. So
that's right.
I'm sure they're trying to cash in. All right, let's get into the history here of the Teen Titans. They were created by Bob Haney and Bruno Premiani originally, the original Teen Titans. Michael, what can you tell us about them? I'm sure you're big fans of theirs.
Well, I know a little bit. I know that it was basically, they weren't even named when they first appeared. It was just a team up between, it was Robin, Kid Flash, and Speedy, right?
Nope. Aqualad.
Speedy came later.
Yeah, Speedy is the Green Arrow's chum, right?
Right.
Yeah, he comes in much later. Wonder Girl joined 4 issues later. Yeah, because they made the premiere in Brave and the Bold 54 from 1964.
Right.
And those 3 fellas teamed up to fight Mr. Twister.
Okay.
Now, I know Jolie's a big Mr. Twister fan. I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. We go back to, we're part of the same knitting circle.
Apparently, Mr. Twister was a villain who could control the weather. He could control the weather.
What a great name, anyway.
Yes, I guess tornadoes and stuff played into it. So then Wonder Girl joined the team 4 issues later in issue 60.
Okay.
But then Speedy came in later than that. But yeah, he eventually showed up. I don't know if he was ever an official member or he just like hung around. I don't know. Because really, if your name's Speedy, we don't want you in our club. Sorry, we just can't have you. So then they got their own series in 1966, but that was canceled in 1973 after 43 issues.
Mm-hmm.
So then they were relaunched in 1980 as the New Teen Titans. And that's where we are today, the New Teen Titans. And this is where it gets really confusing, though, Michael, because they this team.
Can I point out one thing? Because it was canceled and then brought back in the 70s. Because they canceled it and then they brought, back then they would never reboot. So they just brought it back at whatever odd number it was at, like 43 or whatever. Really? And they had they brought it back with a couple new members like Bumblebee, the black girl who's in the cartoons now.
See, I have no idea who Bumblebee is, but I saw that name when I was reading up about Teen Titans, and I had no idea who she is.
Yeah, that's where she was brought in. There was Bumblebee. There was they're all escaping me now. But yeah, there was like a handful of new members, and then that only lasted like a year, and that was by Marv Wolfman as well. And then that got canceled. Yeah,
I missed that.
In '77, I think.
So then this new team was created by Marv Wolfman and George Perez, the creative team behind the issue we'll be reviewing today. And they first appeared in DC Comics Presents issue 26.
Yep.
And then they started their own series like the same month or a month later or whatever. And this series lasted for 40 issues until 1984. And then, Michael, they renamed it Tales of the Teen Titans.
That's right.
And they kept that rolling.
Yeah.
And then they started volume 2 of, was it still the New Teen Titans?
Yeah, it was still called the New Teen Titans volume. Yeah, New Teen Titans volume 2, number 1. Yes.
This is so confusing because they were running Tales of Teen Titans and New Teen Titans volume 2 at the same time.
Yes.
But Tales of Teen Titans actually went back in time 6 months before the beginning of volume 2 Teen Titans.
This is what they did was, okay, so are you following along with this, Jolie?
Oh, I've clocked out.
Okay.
There's going to be a quiz. So
what they did was the new Teen Titans was a really good seller, and so was Legion of Superheroes, and so was The Outsiders. So they decided to launch 3 new number ones. This was the beginning of new number ones. Okay.
All right.
They launched 3 new series: New Teen Titans, Legion of Superheroes, and Outsiders as new number ones with Baxter paper, which is the thick white paper.
Okay.
But then they kept the old series going with the original numbering, and they called them Tales of the Teen Titans, Adventures of the Outsiders, and I think Tales of the Legion of Superheroes. And what they did was, for 1 year, each of them had new stories, but the Baxter series was set a year in the future. So then, when the old series caught up to, once it went past a year, they would stop having new stories and then start reprinting the Baxter series. That was the whole point of it. So basically, New Teen Titans, what was it called?
It's just a mess.
Yeah. Tales of the Teen Titans number 39 reprints DC Comics Presents number 26, and then Tales of the Teen Titans, I think 40 reprints New Teen Titans number 1 or something like that. I can't remember, but that's basically what they did. And the reason is because the Baxter series was only available in comic shops, and the old series were available in comic shops and in newsstands. So who
was running DC in charge of their continuity? Was it just like a bunch of chimps with typewriters?
Yeah, exactly.
This is horrible.
Very confusing. Very confusing.
Man, I don't know.
They just wanted to make sure that no one wanted to read it. That's all.
Yeah, this is like the most convoluted way to set up a series.
It wasn't smart. Yeah, it did sell well though.
Yeah. All right, so that brings us where we are today. New Teen Titans number 2.
Yes.
Yay. All right, so now there are some characters we need to discuss here. The main character is Robin, of course. I think everyone's familiar with him. Dick Grayson.
Yep.
And then Mike Yell, correct me if I'm wrong, but he becomes Nightwing, right?
Yes, later on. Yep.
Now, why did he become Nightwing?
Well, the idea is that you mean behind the scenes or in the story?
Either one.
because DC unfortunately started aging all their characters, and so Dick Grayson got too old to be the Boy Wonder, so he later became the Teen Wonder. And then I think what happened was Marv Wolfman wanted to age him even more, and I don't think the Batman editors wanted him to. So they said, okay, well, why don't you just give Dick Grayson a new identity, and we'll just create a new Robin. I think that's what happened. So they let him keep Dick Grayson and turn him into Nightwing, and then the Batman writers, they just created Jason Todd, the second Robin. I think that's what happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the Teen Titans eventually aged out of being the Teen Titans. They were just called, the Titans or the...
They were called the New Titans.
Oh, the New Titans.
And then later the Titans. Yeah, it's very, very confusing.
All right, so then we got Wonder Girl, and she is Donna Troy.
Yes.
And as we mentioned, she first appeared in The Brave and the Bold issue 60. And so she's Wonder Woman's sister?
Well, adopted sister. She was rescued from a burning building by Wonder Woman, and so then she was adopted and raised on Paradise Island.
But how does she have powers?
It depends what decade and what writer you're asking, but I can't remember. I think she was given powers by the Titans or something. By the Titans of Myth, not these Titans, the Titans of Myth.
They gave them to her for Christmas. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
See, now Jolie, are you familiar with Wonder Girl and her history? Because I had no idea about any of this.
Not totally. I definitely don't know how she got her powers, but I do happen to have her Wikipedia page open. So,
nice. Yeah, I don't know. I just assumed she was like Wonder Woman's sister. I didn't know about the adoption part.
Yeah, she's not like actually blood related. No, she's not like a what's her island? Themyscira.
Themyscira.
Yeah, she's not from there. Yeah. The other confusing thing is when she was first introduced in the comics, she was like Superboy. She was just the younger version of Wonder Woman in the past. But then this writer named Bob Haney, who had no regard for continuity, basically one day just said, you know what? She's actually separate. Let's just put her in the Teen Titans. And I think that's what happened. Yeah. So then they had to make up an origin later. Yeah.
DC is a mess.
Yeah. There was no continuity back then. They just did whatever they wanted.
All right, so then we get Kid Flash, and this is Wally West, and he's the third Flash. He later becomes the Flash, yes. Yeah, later.
Yeah.
His first appearance was in the Flash 110 in 1960, created by John Broome and Carmine Infantino.
Yep.
So the first Flash is the guy we talked about in All-Star Squadron and stuff with the helmet and the red shirt. Then we got the second Flash, which was Barry Allen, right?
Yes.
And then Kid Flash. Do you know how he became Kid Flash, Michael?
I believe Barry Allen, the first Flash, was showing him the chemicals that were struck by lightning that gave him his powers. And then just by sheer coincidence, another bolt of lightning came through the window and hit the chemicals and gave Wally West the same powers.
Yes.
Isn't that great?
It's amazing. I think that's also how the Comic Book Syndicate was formed, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's 1 in 700,000.
Michael was showing Jolie the chemicals, and the lightning bolt came in. But another point, Wally West was visiting his aunt, who he considered his best friend, and his aunt was dating Barry Allen at the time.
Yes.
So that's how it all came together. All right, so that's that. Cyborg, he's Victor Stone, and his first appearance was in DC Comics Presents 26 when the new Teen Titans premiered, and so he was created by Wolfman and Perez. Jolie, do you know anything about Cyborg?
Yeah, that he's just was he tested? I don't know if he's tested on or if.
Yeah, that seems to be the case. Like his parents were scientists and they were doing experiments on him.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it was always had to do with Star Labs, but that's where he was created. And I don't know if it was because of an accident due to his incredible athletic nature or what. So I don't really know his backstory. I just sort of kind of pieced it together from the television show.
Yeah, like, because I was thinking with the television show, the early one, Michael, do you remember the early, Justice League show from the early 80s?
You mean, Super Friends or
Super Friends.
Yes.
Because didn't Cyborg show up eventually on that?
Yes.
I think that's where I first saw him.
Yeah, that's where I first saw him too. I don't think he came in until the very last season in 1984 or something.
Like when Darkseid was involved and all that.
Exactly, right. Which is when it got really good, in my opinion. But anyway.
But apparently, the reason he became the Cyborg guy was because his parents were conducting experiments at Star Labs, and they somehow summoned an interdimensional gelatinous creature. And that creature killed his mom and totally messed him up real bad. He was about to die. But his dad got rid of the creature somehow. And the only way he could save his son was to make him half a robot. So he gave him cybernetic technology and something called Promethean plating, which I guess in DC's universe, that is the equivalent of adamantium. Yeah,
but in this issue, he uses a different metal. I believe he uses a different word for it. But we'll get to that later, yeah.
So he's basically half robot, half fella.
Half fella, yep.
And that's what he is. All right, so that's Cyborg. The Changeling. Now, Michael, he's called the Changeling here, but more modern Teen Titans viewers will know him as Beast Boy. And he was originally Beast Boy, right?
Yeah, which is confusing because Marv Wolfman thought Changeling was too, I don't know what, old-fashioned or embarrassing. And so, they changed his name to Changeling, but Beast Boy's cooler, I think.
Yeah, I suppose. His real name is Garfield Logan, so if Wolverine were a cat who liked lasagna, he would be this guy. And he premiered in Doom Patrol 99, 1965, created by Arnold Drake and Brad Brown. Mm-hmm. Apparently, he had a rare disease called Sakushia. Sakushia. And the only way it was cured was with a serum derived from a green monkey, Michael.
Really?
A green monkey. This makes Beast Boy my favorite hero ever. And he got his powers derived from a monkey. So the serum turned him green, and now he can change his body into any kind of animal.
He's got a cool look, that's for sure.
I suppose.
I wonder if they changed it from the Changeling because of its association with like folklore.
Maybe.
Because then people would assume that he has magic. Which he doesn't. He's just more like the Beast.
Yeah, like Beast Boy sounds more like a classic superhero name, even though it does sound a little ridiculous. But
and of course, back in those days with DC, Michael, and those legions of superheroes, everyone was named boy or girl.
Or lad or lass.
Yeah.
Or chick.
Chick.
No, there was no chick. But I think they used to call Wonder Girl Wonder Chick.
Yes, that's what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Wonder Chick. Seriously? They actually called her Wonder Chick?
Yeah, that was
yes, they did.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome.
It was her official nickname. It's Wonder Chick.
All right. So next we have Raven. Her real name is Rachel Roth. DC Comics presents 1980 again. That's where she premiered. Wolfman and Perez created her. Basically, her mother joined the Church of Blood cult.
Yeah.
And then she was raped by the demon Trigon.
Yeah.
Just your basic witch.
Yeah, so I'm guessing this is what's the big movie? Rosemary's Baby. It's basically Rosemary's Baby.
Uh-huh.
Except she's a lady instead of. So she goes and she's raised in a interdimensional realm called Azarath, and so she's basically like a sorceress, right, Miguel? Like.
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah.
So there's Raven, and Starfire is the final member of the team. Her real name is Coriander. Not to be confused with her sister Cilantro.
Did you have that written down?
That's an herb joke, Jolie. An herb joke.
I love it. It's my favorite. It's part of my 3 C's.
And
Cats, crackers, and coriander.
Cats, crackers, and coriander. And her premiere was in DC Comics Presents 26. Wolfman and Perez created her. She comes from the planet Tamarin, I believe is how you pronounce it.
Yeah, I think so.
She does have a sister, but her name is Commander.
Yeah.
And Michael, do you know her backstory? Would you like to explain it?
I honestly, other than this, I don't know much. I just know she's from an alien race and she's a princess, but I don't know much more than that.
Yeah, she was a princess, but I guess her sister was older than her, so her sister was supposed to become like the official heir to the throne or whatever.
Okay.
But her sister didn't have. She was somehow sick, or she didn't have Starfire's abilities, so she got passed over. So Starfire was named the princess, and so that caused a bunch of jealousy. And then something else happened where their father like traded them to like an evil empire to keep the peace.
Okay.
And so her and her sister were in prison for years. And then apparently they were like sexually abused and stuff for years.
Yikes.
Yeah. And they did experiments on them. And those experiments are what gave her Starfire power. She can shoot these energy rays. But it also made her so powerful that she got out and like escaped. But I think her sister was like in with the bad guys to get revenge on her because you know, she got passed over. So she escaped to Earth. And that's where she is now with the Teen Titans. Starfire. And she, like, at the beginning of this issue, she can't speak English.
Right.
And she seems like her personality is kind of very flirtatious and also violent.
Yes.
So
she's very, like, willing to kill.
Yeah.
Or willing to punish.
Yeah, because she was being experimented on for 6 years in a prison. So she's a little crazy like that. All right, so then we got Deathstroke the Terminator, real name Slade Wilson. His backstory, holy hell, we'll get into that later because it'll ruin some stuff if we talk about it now.
Yep.
And then finally, we got to mention the Hive. Apparently, it's a evil organization. That Hive stands for Hierarchy of International Vengeance and Eliminations, which is like a
They got to cover all their bases.
ridiculous name. And Mike, this is just a ripoff of Hydra, Michael. That's all this is.
Yeah, you could say that. Yep.
So, man, comic books. You see a good idea, just steal it from someone else.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Michael, that brings us to the book finally.
All right. So let's talk about this cover. This is a classic case of, in my opinion, the exact wrong way to introduce a new villain, but I'll explain. So at the top it says, can this truly be the end of the new Teen Titans? This is, mind you, the second issue, okay? So then we have this guy.
Yeah, we're done. We're done after 2 issues.
They're all dead on the cover.
We're closing up shop. It was a bad idea. We're just ending it for 2 issues.
So yeah, we've got this guy on the cover, and he's like, "You're too late to save your fellow Titans, Raven. I've just killed them all." But then there's another guy in the background obscured by a tree. And it says, "Wrong, you didn't kill them. I did." Yeah. I don't know what to say about that other than that is not an enticing reason to read a story, to read that dialogue exchange, but whatever. So yeah, so the bad guy, the other bad guy is holding Robin. All the Teen Titans are defeated at his feet, and then Raven is kind of looking at him. And then the guy obscured by the tree is Deathstroke, and he's all half in shadow.
Yeah. And we learned that this other guy is named Ravager. We'll get into
Ravager.
But Jolie, you mentioned all the heroes are dead there in the foreground. This is a pretty classic comic book cover concept. Heroes all dead and a villain triumphant. But Jolie, did you like the cover?
I mean, I like a good superhero on repose. I guess it had colors, it had shapes and lines, it had thigh-high boots and thigh-high slits. It was very fashion forward.
Yeah, thigh-high boots on a man too, not just on.
And you can't just wear like any old belt with your with your sword. You got to wear a gold. Shiny, solid gold belt.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, I like the cover. It's sort of ridiculous in a perfect way. It doesn't tell me too much. It almost doesn't tell me to buy it for sure. Like, don't bother with me. We're all dead. It's good.
Yeah, if you like dialogue, definitely do not buy it.
Yeah.
But I like that there are dialogue balloons on the cover. I always love that. Old school comic book covers.
And just in case you didn't know that he meant business, his dialogue isn't blood red.
Right.
So then, Michael, we get to the big splash page, and on the left side, we get to all the faces of the Teen Titans.
Yes.
Team, all 7 of them that we went over. And then, but what do we see today? The Terminator.
Yes.
In the middle of it. And
so basically, he is talking to the Hive.
When you say you mean Deathstroke.
Sorry, yes. So Deathstroke is standing in this room, and these 7 garbed guys are standing above him, kind of like in like a, like, I don't know what you'd call that, but they're kind of dressed in robes. Their faces are covered in hoods, so you can't really see them. Yeah. And they're like, "You are the one called Deathstroke the Terminator?" And they're basically hiring him because they want him to kill the Teen Titans, but his thing is that he has to get paid in advance, and he does it on his own terms. But they're like, "No, we will not pay until the job is completed. And take your contract and stuff it." So he walks out the door, but they're, they decide, they're not going to let him get away that easily. So then they activate these machine guns that start shooting at him. But of course, he's Deathstroke the Terminator, so he's easily able to leap out of the way of the bullets. And he throws a grenade at them, but then realizes at the last second, oh, wait a minute, they're actually not even here. They're just holograms, right?
Yeah, they just disappear.
Right, so he's been had. So they're illusions, but that's right. He's like, but who cares? Whatever they're up to, they failed. So then he kicks the door open, and he walks out, and he leaves. And then we cut to this other room where the actual Hive guys are watching him on like this computer screen. And then they're like, soon we'll be able to create our own Terminator, one who will belong body and soul to the Hive. So, yeah, we'll talk about this later, but I already think this is, again, the wrong way to introduce a new villain, but we'll talk about that later.
Well, the one interesting thing on the splash page, we're getting our first look at Deathstroke the Terminator, and we see him from the back.
Yes, true. It's very dramatic.
It's where he keeps all of his weapons.
Yeah, he's got like Twinkies and a grenade and all kinds of stuff. But it's interesting that you're unveiling this big villain, and on the cover he's in shadow. You don't see him, and then the first time we see him, we still don't see him.
Right.
Don't see his face. And his costume is very much like Taskmaster. Same boots, basically the same shirt, orange and blue. He's got a sword. He's got a gun, just like Taskmaster. But the one big difference is Taskmaster had the hooded skull, and Deathstroke has half blue, half orange mask, and the blue side is completely covered. So only one eye is exposed.
Very cool mask.
Yes.
Very cool. Yeah, I like that.
Because he's blind in one eye, which we'll talk about later.
Yep.
One other thing about the splash page, some really, really great exposition. You are the one called Deathstroke the Terminator. You already know my name. Just like I know you bozos are stooges working for the Hive. That's what we call clumsy exposition. So, Jolie, any comments on that opening scene with Deathstroke?
Well, I mean, I've been thinking about character development lately, and trying to figure out why it's so hard for me to retain the plots of these books. And I think it really just boils down to like not memorable characters. So like you go through the first bubbles of dialogue, and it's really the fourth one that really gets me. So let's cut out the garbage and get down to business. They all talk like this, no matter what villain they are. They're just destroyers and like just smashers, and I'm just like kind of sick of it. So I had a really hard time flipping to the next page, even though I'm on page 1.
Well, that's a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, I did it. I endured. I was just curious about these rogue dudes.
So the next scene, Michael, we get the domestic dispute.
So just for the record, I did read number 1.
Okay.
So I did know kind of what was going on here, but we have this couple that recently split up, and this guy is kind of a dick, and he's like, "Come on, Carol." Well, sorry, go ahead, Michael.
Well, I was just gonna say his name is Grant Wilson. Keep that in mind.
Yes.
Grant Wilson.
So yeah, that's kind of where have I heard that before? Yeah. Wilson. Okay. So yeah, his name is Grant Wilson, and then they broke up, and he's like, "Why don't you move back to our place? You really want to know, Grant? Because you frightened me." Very melodramatic soap opera dialogue, but that's okay.
Stroking a cat.
Yes, he's a cat.
Yeah. And then, so they get into this argument, and then they flash back. Oh, no, it's not a flashback. It's what's it called? Starfire. Oh, yeah, because in number 1, when Starfire landed on Earth, she actually crashed through their apartment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's why
sense.
she's there. So that's why Starfire sees them fighting and then shoots him with a starbolt or whatever it's called and electrocutes him.
Starfire. I was going to say, it's not unlike Alf. Remember, Alf crashed into the Tanner's garage.
Exactly.
So she's very much like Alf.
He just attacks anybody who gets forceful.
Yeah.
And of course, Starfire's speaking in a different language, so her dialogue is all like these weird symbols. And then the girl, what's the girl's name? Carol?
Yes.
Carol Sladkey.
Sladkey, yeah. She's like, "Please, Starfire, don't hurt him. This isn't his fault." And so basically they're arguing back and forth. And then what's his name is like, what's his name again? I already forgot.
Grant Wilson.
Grant. He's like, "I'm not done yet. You see, I got friends who will take care of me, and then I'll come back and take care of your friends. Just wait and see, Carol. Just all of you wait and see." And then he slams the door and walks out.
Yeah, he's blaming the Teen Titans for like ruining his life because they blew up his apartment. Now his girlfriend's mad at him, and she's mad at him because he's fallen in with the bad crowd. Hive,
right.
The Hive.
Yeah, right.
I don't like you hanging out with those 7 dudes in purple robes. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
Vengeance and elimination is not a great mandate.
Right.
Yeah.
You're trying to impress a girl.
So then Kid Flash shows up.
Yeah, we didn't really mention, but so it was Starfire and Wonder Girl that were already there, and then Kid Flash shows up. And so he's like, "Come on, we've got ourselves a real emergency. Let's get moving." So then they take off and they go to this new mission or this new thing. And basically they rendezvous with Changeling, Robin, and Cyborg. And they're kind of like watching from the top of a building. These guys unload something from like these trucks.
Yeah.
And they don't really say what it is yet, but then they run down. It
sounds like it's a pharmaceutical warehouse. So
right. Yeah. So then Kid Flash runs down and is punching these guys. And then
Spack.
Yeah,
Croc.
yeah. Croc. Yeah. And then Robin, swings down and batang, he kicks them.
Oh, we should mention these guys are dressed in pink outfits.
Yes, they are. Pink outfits with pink goggles, 2 different shades of pink. Actually.
All the better to not raise suspicion at all.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're robbing a pharmaceutical warehouse at night, dress in bright pink.
Yeah.
That's good.
And then there's some bad dialogue from Changeling. You guys see Dorothy the Tin Man? This is Oz, isn't it? I don't even know what
Yeah.
that is. Anyway.
Changeling. He's supposed to be the comedic relief of the team.
Yeah.
And I just want to punch him in the jeans.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, he's not funny. So then Cyborg, I said Starfire shooting, but she can't speak English, so she has no dialogue. And then Cyborg picks up one of the trucks and throws it into the river. And then this is kind of cool. So then there's another truck driving towards Wonder Girl, but she's so strong, remember, because she's Amazonian, but not really.
Yeah.
She puts her hands out and stops the truck, and the guy goes flying through the windshield. But then that's when they realize, Mike Dell, you like this part. They're not humans, but they are
robots.
You got it, robots.
Yeah. But it looks weird because she stops that truck. Kind of, you see Colossus do this a lot too, where they just stand there. So that's cool. But it looks like the guy was just driving straight into a wall anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Good point. Yeah.
He goes through the windshield and goes into a wall. So he was basically just going to crash into the wall anyway. She could have just stepped aside.
Yeah. Good point, huh?
Whatever.
So then Starfire comes in, and I love, this is my favorite line of dialogue for the whole book. She shoots them, and they're like, no, stop it. Without thinking, she's using those Starfire bolts we named her after on the others. Ugh.
Yeah, that is the worst constructed sentence ever. Yeah. And it is so confusing. Those Starfire bolts we named her after on the others.
Ooh,
what?
bad.
Now, I want to blame Marv Wolfman, for the terrible dialogue, but also Len Wein is the editor. What's he doing?
I think I read that bubble 6 times.
Yes.
Before I closed my computer and walked away. I was so frustrated.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
Yeah, that's the worst scene in the whole book. I think Len Wein and Marv Wolfman used to be roommates, so maybe he was going easy on him. I don't know.
I guess, but yeah, there were editors. What were they doing?
Yeah.
But anyway.
So then they realize they're robots, and then basically this is where Robin's like, Starfire seems to relish in violence, or seems to relish violence. So that's what we talked about earlier. She's obviously from a different race, different planet, so they don't know what she's like. But then he's like, if only she could speak our language, if only we could talk to her. And then she looks at him, and of course, what does she do? She plants one on his kisser, right?
Yeah, she kisses him, yep.
Yep, so she kisses him, and then the next panel is it's like she's getting down and dirty with him, and then Flash is watching, or Kid Flash is watching, Changeling's watching.
Yeah, they're all just sitting around watching.
Donna is stretching her back.
Sorry, but this is scene 1 of the porn where Starfire and Robin. This is where oh my God, where's this going? Because Kid Flash is just sitting there watching them going at it.
Yes.
And then Changeling says, "Let him have his fun."
Yeah.
So,
right. and this is where then Changeling's like, Goldie can smother me like that anytime. And it's just, he gets a little weird here, eh?
So then the next panel, like Jolie said, Wonder Girl is stretching her back, and it's very provocative pose. But then we get Cyborg. He rescues one of those pink guys, because that's why Robin, he had to tackle Starfire to stop her from destroying all the enemy robots, because they wanted to salvage a robot so they could trace where they came from and everything. So Cyborg pulls one out of the water. But then he goes over and sees Wonder Girl, and he goes, "Oh, I can fix that for you." And he starts rubbing her back. And here's porn number 2 right here.
Yeah,
he disconnects his pulley hand attachment.
Yeah.
Puts his hand attachment back on to give her the rub down. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's loving it. And if you listen closely, you can hear the cheesy porn music in the background. Yeah, it's something.
So this is tally number 2 for potential porn tally? Okay.
Yes.
And you just gotta wonder, they took the time to write that and to draw it. It's just funny, the little touch of adding that in. So bizarre, eh?
Yes.
Yeah, and just so you don't question where he keeps his hand while his pulley attachment is on, he keeps it on his belt. They drew it on his
I didn't notice that. I kind of just thought his hand retracted in, but no. Take it off. I didn't realize that. That's awesome.
It's like pinned to his coat like mittens. Little kids got mittens.
That's awesome. Oh man. Anyway, okay, so then now all of a sudden, now because Starfire has kissed Robin, now she knows English.
Yeah, she learned English by kissing him.
Right. So what's his name? Garfield Logan, Changeling. It's like, listen, I know. Oh yeah, so now Logan, Garfield, whatever his name is.
Garfield Logan.
Yeah, he's trying to get in on the accent. So he's like, listen, I know French. What about German? Chinese?
Yeah.
She's like, no, English will do for now. Maybe some other time. And he's like, babe, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
And we should mention, for those who are not familiar with Starfire, she's drawn and depicted as like just a bombshell. Like, a lot of hair. Her costume is very revealing.
Yes.
And for 1980s, this is pretty risque, right?
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah. So then they're like, well, you know what? I know what we're going to do. We got to talk to Cyborg's father because he can help us. And Cyborg has a bad relationship with his father because he turned him into a robot, and he blames him for that. So he doesn't want to talk to him.
And how old is Cyborg here? Because he's like calling everybody kid, and that one picture makes him look very old.
I thought he was still supposed to be like 19.
I thought so too, but he seems very old.
He's like on the older side of everybody else. Everyone's like 15, 16. He's maybe 19.
Okay.
Yeah, probably late teen. Yeah, exactly, late teen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we should also mention one other thing about him massaging Wonder Girl. She's like, you're into medicine, Cyborg? And he says, nah, I was an athlete. I know thrown out joints when I see them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was an athlete. So, and that was a big bone of contention with him and his parents. He wanted to be an athlete. They just kept doing those medical experiments on him about science. They just
wanted him to be a science project.
Yes, you're a science project, son, not an athlete. Yeah. But anyway, so they want Cyborg to take him to Star Labs because they figure his dad could help them track down the robots and where they came from. But here's what confuses me, because Cyborg goes on this big rant about how he hates his dad. He's not going to talk to his dad. And then the next page we see them saying, all right, well, I can get you into Star Labs. That doesn't mean I have to talk to my dad. But then when they actually get to Star Labs, it's just Cyborg talking to his dad.
Yeah.
Like that's the next time we see him. He's just having a conversation with his dad. It's very weird. I don't know. But yeah, so Michael, then Deathstroke is spying on him this whole time.
Right. So we see from his point of view watching through his telescope or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah, because while he rejected Hive's offer to kill the Teen Titans, it still intrigued him. Like, why did Hive want me to do this? So he's trying to learn up about the Teen Titans.
Right.
Even though he hasn't been hired to kill them. So.
Right. And then he's got this kind of like his own Alfred, right, named Wintergreen.
Yeah,
and he's talking to Wintergreen through his like CB or whatever it is. Yeah. And then we cut over to what's his name?
Grant Wilson.
Grant Wilson, yeah. So now Grant Wilson is he's hooking up with Hive, right?
Yep.
And he's like getting onto this operating table, and they're gonna do something to him, but we don't know what yet. And then, so they explain it. They're like, humans only use 1/10 of their brain power. Yes. We learned that the Terminator increased his capacity to 90%. We're going to increase your capacity to 100%. So, even though that's been debunked, but whatever. Yeah,
that's not true at all. If you're at home, you use way more than 10% of your brain. But, we should mention that's how Deathstroke got his powers. He apparently also submitted to some experiment when he was in the Army, and they expanded his brain to 90% potential.
That's right. So then we cut away to, I guess this is hell?
I think it's just a demon realm.
Yeah.
I don't think this is Azarath, because apparently that's supposed to be a nice place. But,
okay. So this is like another dimension. And here we see Raven talking to something.
Yeah. It turns out that's her dad. Spoiler alert. Yeah. That's the dad, the demon guy.
Trigon, right? Yep. I think that he shows up later, yeah.
But look at this page, though. This is we're getting to see some, like, again, this is early George Perez, but we're getting to see some of his panel design here, where you get the 3 panels at the bottom, kind of like separated and overlapping another panel.
Yes, yep, absolutely.
Because for much of this issue, it's pretty standard panel designs and layouts, but there'd be like 2 or 3 pages where you could see, here comes Perez, with all the little panels overlaying others and stuff. So
yeah, yep.
All right.
Yes, this is 5 years before Crisis, so it's still early. But so then we cut over to Kid Flash in Blue Valley, where he lives, I guess. And he's running home, and of course, he says what anyone would say if they found a strange woman in the bed. You!
Well, he knows it's Raven.
Yeah.
But this is porn number 3, Jolie, if you're scoring at home. He comes home and he finds Raven just on his bed, stretched out in great despair. So yeah. She said she just needed a place to hide for a while to hang out, so she just broke into his house.
Yeah. And then she just disappears. And then he's like, she's gone like some kind of ghost. And then, so then he's like, yeah, but I have to know, is she the reason I changed my mind? Did she do something to make me become a Titan? Because originally he turned down the call to join the team, but now he's obviously joined, right? So he wonders if he's being manipulated. So anyway, so then we cut to Changelings Mansion, which is like this gigantic, it looks like a freaking Greek palace or whatever.
And we get some more George Perez panel layout here.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I thought he was so rich that he had kangaroos. He is the kangaroo.
Yeah, he is the kangaroo.
Yep. And then, so it's Dick Grayson and Garfield Logan talking, and then we cut in, and it's Wonder Girl. She's got to explain to, and by the way, I should point out, in this middle bottom panel, technically Starfire is completely naked.
Yes. So this is number 4. I said 3. This is 4.
I wonder if Wonder Girl's naked too, because she just has that jacket on. Maybe she's naked too.
Well, I think she. Oh yeah, is that a robe? Or I think she has her bathing suit on underneath it, or I don't know, but we don't get to see. But yeah, so Starfire's completely naked, and here's the hot lesbian action.
Yeah. So yeah, Starfire's like doesn't understand why she has to wear clothes. And Wonder Girl's trying to explain why she has to. So then they cut to outside, and they're standing there in their bikinis, and of course, they're like commenting on how scantily clad they are.
And Changeling turns into a wolf so he can howl.
Yeah, that's right. And then he turns into a dolphin, and then Kid Flash shows up, and we get a kind of an interesting Perez layout here, right? Where we have the 4 panels splitting up one scene, and so we see Kid Flash running between all the panels, and it's kind of cool.
Yep.
But this is cool. They're just hanging out, right? Nothing's really going on. They're just hanging out, talking. And then we cut over to...
again, very X-Men-y. Remember how the X-Men would hang out and stuff?
Just hang out. You just shoot the shit. Yeah, exactly. It's great. And then we cut over to Cyborg in Star Labs with his dad. Yeah, and of course, he's looking at another robot. But he's like, what does he say here? He's like, I'm truly sorry I can't help you, Victor, but the automaton is damaged beyond any hope to repair. So basically it's showing that he's just obsessed with his work. He doesn't really care about his son, Victor, right?
Well, no. Well, Cyborg brought him, that pink robot in the background is the guy he took out of the water. And his dad's saying, his dad's looking at him, he says, hey, I can't do anything. I can't tell. It's too damaged.
Right.
His dad's trying to make amends. He's trying to give it all, but he just can't. He can't help him. He can't help him.
Right. So then he's like, well, you know what? Screw this. So he starts to walk away, but then, of course, there's a big explosion. Krakoom. And then it's Ravager, right?
Ravager. This is Grant Wilson turned into the Ravager.
Right.
Who's basically like, okay, so Taskmaster's first, and then Deathstroke's a ripoff of him, and then Ravager would be like a ripoff of Deathstroke.
Yes.
It's kind of like Multiplicity, that Michael Keaton movie where the 4th version of it's not as good. Yeah, that's Ravager.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is weird because they acknowledge it in this book, I think.
Yeah, kind of. You're right.
Yeah.
I was like, is no one going to mention the fact that they were just, the Cyborg brings... It is such an inopportune, awkward moment to bring up the death of his mother.
Well, yeah, he starts yelling at his dad, and he's like, you killed her. And then his dad says, it's no use. He'll never listen to the truth. He'll never believe the accident that forced me to rebuild him is also costing me my life. But
just tell him, though.
Why would he care about that? Like, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
He doesn't like you anyway. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't care. You could go ahead and tell him that. Not a big deal.
All right. So there's really no lead up. Ravager just busts through the wall at Star Labs.
Yep.
Yeah. And we don't know, technically the reader doesn't know that this is Grant. We just know that it's a new person. Right?
Yeah, so I suppose. Yeah, they don't come up, but I mean, you can piece it together. But I just want to know why he went to Star Labs expecting to find Cyborg. That would be...
Yeah. I mean, this is pushing the limits of believability, but it's... Yeah, you kind of just have to go with it.
But this Ravager guy, he's jumping around like a monkey, and Cyborg can't stop him. And it looks like he's going to beat Cyborg, but then Jolie, Cyborg, he takes off his mitten, and he does something else. He puts on like a Sonic thing, right?
Yep. He reaches, what is it? He silently slips his hand into his weapons belt.
Awesome.
Where finger sensors select a very special card. So I guess it's like powered by cartridges, the way a Nintendo is. I'm not sure.
Oh,
but yeah, so it's a white sound or white noise machine.
Yes.
That is sort of like what I guess Black Canary would be doing.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, and deafens him.
Yep. So then when it looks like Cyborg's going to win, what happens, Michael?
So then he gets, I guess, electrocuted, spack, by, but no, it's a power dampener.
Yeah. Gets
slapped on his back by Deathstroke the Terminator. So Deathstroke takes Ravager and throws him over his shoulder and carries him out.
And hey, Michael, at the last panel here on this page, we get more of that crosshatch stuff.
Yeah.
It just
Perez
does occasionally.
Exist in reality, yeah.
Remember, he did that in the Avengers issue we did.
That's right, yeah. I think Rob Liefeld copied that, and he used it in New Mutants, too.
Yep.
But anyway. So then, we cut back to the scene of everybody just hanging out, right? Bikinis abound.
Yep.
And then basically, it's kind of funny because they're all just chatting away. You know, there's a little bit of exposition about Coriander's, background. And then Cyborg just comes running in.
He comes jumping in like a bunny rabbit.
Yeah.
Like he's hopping.
Tried asking directions in this town when you look like me. It's awesome. Yeah.
But when he says that, it's like he doesn't know how to get to Changeling's house. Like they don't know.
Yeah, to take a cab, I guess, right?
Well, I mean, he probably lives in one of those like gated communities. They're not going to just let a black guy from Detroit wander in.
Not just a black guy from Detroit, a black guy robot from Detroit.
Yeah, I was going to say.
We're not letting
those robots from Detroit are especially not to be trusted. The last time RoboCop tried to access this neighborhood,
everything went to hell.
Yep.
But he comes in and he's saying, "Hey, we got trouble. There's someone looking to kill us." And but then we cut back, Michael, to Deathstroke.
Deathstroke.
Grant Wilson passed out on a bed. But this is—I don't think this is going to be a porn. I think this is just
you sure?
Yeah, I don't think.
All right. So then, so then he's like, you're Deathstroke the Terminator. My father, wink, wink, told me about you, and the Hive gave me powers like yours, maybe even better. Not quite, kid. Your brain capacity is being increased, but you're feeding off your body's own energy. You keep using your powers, and you'll kill yourself. So that's the conundrum, right?
Yeah. Now, two things. One, look at his Prince Valiant haircut when he wakes up. That's pretty good. And then two, Michael, the conundrum he finds himself in is exactly what happened in the Power Man and Iron Fist issue that we did with Jolie, where Thunderbolt, remember, he kept aging rapidly because he was using his speed.
Yes.
And it's the same thing going on here. So again, and that Power Man and Iron Fist story was 8 months before this. So they ripped off Power Man and Iron Fist.
Jeez. Now, do you remember, though, your favorite writer, Jim Shooter, what did he say every superhero story has to have, though? It had to have a moment where the hero or the villain basically says, I can't, but I must, right? So he can't use his powers, but he must use his powers. So that's what's going on here, right?
Ravager, he doesn't care. He has to kill the Teen Titans.
Right.
He's not scared of dying.
Right. So he puts on his mask and he takes off. He's going to go destroy the Teen Titans. And then Deathstroke's like, well, I'm going to have to go stop him. So then Ravager goes to this mansion. And it's funny how they're all just standing there. It's funny because they didn't do anything. They just waited for him, I guess.
Yeah, well, they changed out of their bathing suits.
Yeah, that's true. At least they had the courtesy to do that.
Yeah. But again, how does he know they're at the mansion?
Yeah.
Like, and why, if he did know they're at the mansion, why not go there first instead of Star Labs to fight Cyborg?
That's a good point.
Yeah, but anyway, don't overthink it.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe that power dampener also has a GPS tracker in it.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a good idea. Yeah. That's not bad. All right. So, he's about to fight the Teen Titans all by himself, 7-on-1, but then Deathstroke says 7-2.
Yeah.
And in my book, That makes it even odds.
So then, and then we cut back to the Hive are watching him on their TV screen, right? So 2 against the Titans. Who do you think will be victorious? Number 5, you already know the Terminator has never failed. So then they start fighting. Wang!
That's an unusual sound effect. Wang!
Yes, and then scree! And so basically, he's Deathstroke is, oh, that was Ravager, actually. Sorry, I didn't notice the boots. And,
the thigh high. Yeah, Ravager's got the thigh highs. But there's some great dialogue in here, though, Michael, between Starfire and Wonder Girl.
Donna, he sidestepped my Starbolt. No one has ever done that before. Call me Wonder Girl. We're in public. I love that. Yeah, I know. I love that.
Yeah, we should mention earlier they were talking about secret identities and stuff. And Wonder Girl, she's in a bikini in the pool, and she's like, I've been lucky. I don't wear a mask, and no one's recognized me as Donna Troy.
Yeah. Ridiculous. Like, imagine that in this day and age, in like 2 seconds with like social media, they'd figure that out in like 2 seconds. But anyway.
Facebook page and Instagram.
Yeah. But anyway.
So Deathstroke catches her rope, though, a lasso, and he just throws her into Starfire. Boom.
Yep. I'm just looking here. Yep. The sound effect, boom, but it's covered up by their bodies. The sound effect is actually behind them. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then Ravager punches Robin. Walk. It's actually pretty well done. That's a good shot. And then, I love this too. You'd think that in all this, somebody would have a gun. Nope. He's got a gas thing that shoots out of his wrist. And then you'd think, oh, great. Someone actually thought to bring a gun that shoots bullets. Nope. Whoa.
It's a blaster.
And blasters? Come on, punk. They can't stop me. Yeah, it's just a blaster. It's not an actual gun.
Yeah, it's a blaster.
So then Cyborg punches him. He punches Robin. And then Deathstroke is so fast, he can actually punch Kid Flash.
Well, he throws his baton between his legs and trips him.
Oh, right. Yeah. But that's pretty remarkable considering Kid Flash can run, faster than the speed of light. But anyway. So then Starbolt or Starfire is like shooting at him. And she basically wants to kill him, right?
Yeah, she's going nuts.
Right. And then Ravager's like, stop her. Those blasts are everywhere. Can't get away. Everything's moving so quickly. It feels so dizzy. Uh-oh, something's going wrong. God, no, the kid. The fool, I warned him. Using his powers will take its toll. But I didn't think it would happen so quickly. So then we we cut to the next scene or the next page, and Ravager's down for the count, right?
Yep.
He's like, Terminator, are you there? Yeah, here I am, kid. Listen, everything will be all right. Just rest. Right? And then Raven pops in. The boy is dying. Let that end the fighting. Take him, Terminator, and go in peace. So basically, So she's like, I warned him. I told him what using his powers would do, but he didn't believe me. So then he pulls up his mask and he sees that he's an old man now. He
lifts up Grant Wilson's mask, the Ravager, and he's an old man.
Yes. It gets confusing, yes. So he's an old man. So Ravager's like, okay, you guys can take off.
But Raven does something nice for the Ravager while he's dying. In his mind, she makes him imagine that he killed all the Teen Titans.
Right.
So that's nice of her.
Yeah, that was a nice little parting gift.
But I mean, how do you feel if you're the Teen Titans here? Like, Robin's like, hey, what the hell?
Yeah.
But whatever.
And then that's it. Yeah, then Deathstroke's like, you did this to him. You Titans killed him. And then Raven's like, no, we did nothing. The ones who gave him powers are his true killers. That's not the way it works in my racket, sister. This kid took a contract and he died because of you. Poor stupid kid, he never really had a chance. So he walks away carrying the body.
His reasoning here is ridiculous. Yeah. He was hired to murder you, and then he didn't do it, and he died. I'm blaming you.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
Like, what?
I know.
How about you blame the guys that killed him with that medical experiment gone awry? How about you blame those guys? I don't know. But all right.
So Starfire can't figure out why they're letting them go?
Neither could I, Starfire. Neither could I.
Yeah. And Raven's like, well, we must have compassion for an enemy. Compassion? I don't understand. And then Robin's like, and that might be enough to end the new Titans before we've even begun. And that's why on the cover it says, could this be the end of the Teen Titans, right?
But seriously, Teen Titans, this Deathstroke fella, he's also a hired assassin. He admits it, that, contract killing and all that. You're letting a felon walk away.
Yeah.
With another felon.
Yes. Yeah. Just because one of the felons died. Okay, that means one more still needs to. Let's go. Let's go, Teen Titans. Nope. Bunch of punks. Bunch of punk kids. That's all they are.
They're taken out by what inevitably takes out every teenage group of friends: infighting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jealousy and horniness. All right, epilogue.
Epilogue. So now we see, what's her name, at the grave, right?
Carol.
Oh yeah, Carol. I'm sorry.
But then Carol,
Raven is overseeing everything, but Carol Sladkey.
She's looking at the gravestone, and this is where we get the twist ending, where Slade Wilson and what's his name, Wintergreen, are at the grave, and we realize he is Grant Wilson's father, like son, right? So there's a twist. That's why he cared about him the whole time. And then the Hive is. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, the big twist is that the Hive here at the end basically admit that they orchestrated it all on purpose just to get Deathstroke to kill the Titans. Yeah.
The child died as expected, and now we have the father as we anticipated, right?
Yeah, so I like that.
Yeah, like father, like son. He said, so true. So true. All right? At the end.
And then next issue, Michael. What's coming up next issue?
The Origin of Starfire, more of Raven's secret, and the creation of the most villainous supergroup of all, the Fearsome Five. Join us. We promise to make it worth your while.
Again, just ripping off the Sinister Six. Yeah,
you could say that. Yeah.
Why not make it 7? So you're admitting we're only Fearsome 5. We're at least one worse than the Sinister 6.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway, all right. So there it is. Teen Titans #2. Jolie, what did you think?
I think this is terrible.
Really?
Absolutely. The only character who I think had the best development, and I'm going to go on a limb for him here because I don't know anything about him, but he's a snappy dresser. He's got fancy things and like a rockin' mustache. Cutest name, Wintergreen. He's got an office. Not only is he smart enough to stay away and out of the fight, but he's got like an office full of like high art nudes, unicorn taxidermy. Like he has everything.
So you want a
he's
spin-off series with Deathstroke's butler. That's what you're saying. You want his
absolutely. As we've been sitting going through pages of just fights, the 3 pages of fight scene, I've been sitting here reading about Wintergreen.
Oh my goodness.
Because I don't give a crap about anything that's happening. It doesn't make sense. It's not cohesive. There's no through lines in the plots. Like there's no logical reason. Like Mike Dell was saying earlier, there's no logical reasons for characters to know where other characters are.
Yeah, there were some plot holes. There were some plot holes.
There were many plot holes. So I've just chosen to focus on some favorites.
Wintergreen. Interesting.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I'm into it.
Mike L. I'm guessing you have a different take.
I mean, acknowledging those plot holes, and I definitely agree about the through line thing because I've read a lot of Marv Wolfman stories and he has a hard time with the through line. But I think scene for scene, I enjoyed every page of it. I enjoyed every scene of it. This is like classic superheroes 101. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm closer to you probably because I think there's a lot of flaws. A lot of flaws.
Yeah.
The dialogue is terrible.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even mention that. Oh, God.
We should, again, Marv Wolfman wrote it and George Perez drew it, but they were true collaborators in every sense.
Right.
But I guess Wolfman did the dialogue. But in terms of plotting and everything, they are credited as collaborators, and I guess they worked together like 40 years. They worked together. They're best chums.
Wow.
They're really good friends. And I read an interview with Wolfman where he said it was a true collaboration, and it was a joy to work with George Perez. So that's pretty cool. Because they did like all the Teen Titans stuff. I wrote it down here.
George Perez didn't draw every issue. He left after a while, but he was definitely the mainstay of the series.
So for Volume 1, Marv Wolfman wrote all 40 issues and I think 2 annuals. And then he did Tales of Teen Titans when it switched titles. He went 41 to 58. And then he wrote 49 issues and 4 annuals of Volume 2. And George Perez, for the first volume, he drew 47 of the first 50 issues.
Wow, that's amazing.
And then he also did the first 5 issues of Volume 2.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I believe, Michael, I think you mentioned earlier there was like did you refer to it as like the Baxter series? Was there like a 5-issue limited series or something? Or
there was also, what was it called? Teen Titans Spotlight?
I can't remember.
There was also a Tales of the Teen Titans limited series as well. I think that's what you mean, right?
Yeah, I think that might be it. And I think he probably also drew that as well. Yeah, so these two guys, if you like the new Teen Titans, you can thank Wolfman and Perez because they did it all.
Yep.
Jolie, you said you're a big fan of George Perez. How do you feel about his art here?
Oh, I think it's stellar. It's a really good, all of it is just really good examples of what he's really capable, what he is capable of. The compositions are they're like clean for the most part. From like the very boring sort of architectural stuff to like, it's rare that you see the backs of characters in these sort of like slice of life panels. Like, in comics, he draws the backs of characters leaving panels a lot. Like there's digital page, what am I on? Digital page 4, Slade leaving. Then there's the backs of the heads of the members of the Hive. And then like the majority of the heads on this page, like we even see Carol and Grant's, like the backs of their heads while they're fighting. And I think it adds a lot of, it's like staging. When there's group scenes, he's really, really good. And this is not something that everybody excels at. And I don't want to equate it to theater because I really don't know what his experience is that like, he's really good at putting, no matter how small the panel is, like 50, 60 characters in it because he's not afraid of rendering the backs of people.
Good point.
And I find there's a lot, I find in superhero comics, there's a lot of attention to pose and like their faces, especially like things like bust lines if there's women, just exaggerated, elongated shapes if men are punching. And with this one, it's like there's a lot of action going on and he draws all the action and it doesn't really, it's more realistic when he draws it. There's those small little like pieces of attention, like, okay, let's go back to porn scene number 2.
The back rub? The back rub?
No, number 1. Okay, so when Starfire all but mauls Robin, he's just surrounded with Starfire's massive amount of hair. Yeah. That's all you see. Like, that is so cool. And you don't see other people draw like that.
Also, the way his leg is up in that shot.
Yeah, it's like kind of hilarious.
My take on him is that, like, there's like the 50s and 60s artists like Jack Kirby and John Buscema and Gil Kane and John Romita Sr., who were like classically trained like illustrators. Like they, and I don't think George Perez is quite like that. Like I think he actually he actually has no training. He's all self-taught. And so he does a lot of things that a typical artist wouldn't do, but he just got such attention to detail. And like we were saying, like he wasn't just doing Titans, he was doing miniseries and he was doing Crisis at the same time. And he did almost every issue. And considering the amount of detail he puts in, never seemed to really miss a deadline. So he's just an all-around great professional comic book artist, I think, Yeah,
I feel like the way that things are drawn, I feel like he's drawing from memory and he's just drawing pieces at a time until the whole thing is complete. And like that to me is the mark of a good artist is he's quick and you can tell, but he's quick and he's good.
Mm-hmm.
Efficient maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, this is early Perez still. Like Michael, we always talk like his peak's probably like 85, 86, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
But you can tell this is still rock solid. You know, it's like just really good stuff. And I like everything about this. You know, he really draws Wonder Girl extremely well.
Yes.
I will say that. Everyone in here, all the guys in here are swooning over Starfire, but I'm Team Wonder Girl. Looking good.
He's kind of like, are you familiar with Jose Luis Garcia Lopez?
Not really, no.
Okay, if you saw his art, you would recognize it because he did every single piece of like promotional and toy art in the 80s for DC. Like all the toys, all the images was all him. And so that's the way he kind of draws Wonder Girl. It's almost like the way John Romita Sr. draws Spider-Man. When you see it, it looks so perfect. You can't believe a human drew it.
Hey, it looks very like the definitive version of that character.
Exactly,
you know,
right.
Like that's how Wonder Girl should always look.
Exactly.
It's, tremendous.
No line is out of place. It's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, one more. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, also, I got a comment. I think all of the characters he created, the visuals for, Starfire, Raven, they're really good, but I think Cyborg is really cool. Like, that's just a class. And if you'll notice did you see the Justice League movie, Mike Dell?
No.
Because they kind of used a newer redesign of Cyborg by Jim Lee as the inspiration, and it's just not as cool. This is cool, like seeing him with, the flesh, but then you see like the metal kind of straps around his legs and like the metal arm, just everything is just in the right place. And like his face is normal, but he's got the half cyborg head and the strap that goes around the other side. It's just a perfect design, I think,
Yeah.
So.
I think it's kind of cool that it feels like a wrestling leotard too.
Oh yeah,
short, like a bikini cut.
Yeah, it does kind of look like a wrestling. What do they call them? The one-piece deals, singlet, a singlet.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, I wanted to bring up Mike Dell. Are you familiar with the show Arrow?
I don't watch it, but I'm aware of it.
So yeah, I completely forgot. But Jolie, you do realize this is, Deathstroke was in Arrow like I think the first 3 or 4 seasons.
Yes.
Yeah, like I kind of forgot. Like, yeah, it's the same.
How did you?
Huh?
How did you forget the first 3 seasons plots revolved around that?
It's not that. It's like it's such a different take on him. It's like, oh yeah, that's the same character. You know what I mean? Because they changed them.
He doesn't have his costume in the show?
He doesn't get the mask until like season 3 or something. He's just called Slade, I think.
Because that is a very distinctive outfit and mask. By the way, we should give more background on Deathstroke, I guess, for the kids. Do you know how he lost his eye, Michael?
No, I don't.
All right, so he married a lady named Adeline, I guess. He met her in the military. She was in the military, and she was the one who first trained him to fight, I guess. And but then he went through that experiment where he got his powers, and they got married, and they had a kid named Grant, and then they had another kid named Joseph.
Yes.
And eventually he was working as an assassin, but he didn't tell her that. He told her he was like a big game hunter.
Okay.
And he got money for doing like safari trips and stuff like that. But he was actually an assassin. And one of his enemies kidnapped their baby boy, Joseph. So when he went to go rescue Joseph, and Adeline, the wife, went with him because she's also a fighter and trained and everything. But the Deathstroke took a gamble that he could stop them before they killed his kid. But he was like a little bit too late. So they didn't kill the kid, but one of the villains sliced his throat.
Yep.
And it ended up severing his vocal cords so he could no longer speak. And the wife was so pissed off at Deathstroke for doing that, for lying to her all these years and for risking their son's life, she shot him in the eye.
Well, she was probably going for a kill shot and just missed.
And he survived. He somehow survived, but then she divorced him. She served him with divorce papers when he was in the hospital.
So it's the final bullet.
So that's how he lost his eye, getting shot in the eye. That's a lot better than what they said about Nick Fury and Captain Marvel, right? Then he gets scratched by a cat.
Yeah, he did.
So this is much cooler. Getting shot in the eye. And Mike L., who did baby Joseph become?
He became Jericho.
Yeah.
Another new Teen Titan.
Jericho. Jolie, are you familiar with Jericho?
Yeah, sorry, the only Jericho I'm familiar with is Chris Jericho.
Yeah, Chris Jericho.
I was like, really? He became a WWE wrestler?
Well, yeah, he made the list. So Jericho, he was that guy in Crisis on Infinite Earths who I thought was just terrible. Remember? I was like, who's this guy? He's just terrible. But yeah, he can't talk.
No.
What's his power, though, Mike? I don't even know.
I think his power is he can possess other people and then make.
Oh, that's right.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I like his costume, but.
And Michael, apparently the most famous Deathstroke stories in Teen Titans, I don't know, I forget the numbers, but the Judas Contract.
Yes.
Would you like to tell the kids about the Judas Contract?
I have read it, and all I can tell you is that it was a new character was introduced named Tara, and she ends up betraying the team.
Because she was always working for Deathstroke.
Yes. So, just to give a quick 5-second description, Marv Wolfman was inspired by Dark Phoenix, where Jean Grey went from being a good guy to a bad guy. And he was like, well, what if I do that? But what if I introduce a character and you know right from the beginning that she's a bad guy and that she's just setting them up? And so that's how he did it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The other key point about that, though, is that Tara was apparently only like 15, 16, and Deathstroke was having sex with her.
Whoa! Hello.
Okay. It's kind of implied that he was in an intimate relationship with her. With Tara. And then Tara ended up dying.
Yep.
And Beast Boy was, I guess, in love with her.
Okay.
So that caused a big thing with Beast Boy, and I don't know. But anyway. So I guess that culminated in Beast Boy and Deathstroke having a lunch together. Like no jive. That's how they settled it. They really? Sat down at a diner and talked it out.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, there you go. That's Deathstroke. Any other famous Deathstroke memories, Michael?
I can only say that, as we've mentioned in this episode, his name is Slade Wilson.
Yes.
Do you know what Deadpool's real name is?
Wade Wilson, right?
You got it. Yeah. So Rob Liefeld basically ripped off Spider-Man and just gave him Deathstroke's name.
That's right.
When he created Deadpool.
Just combined Spider-Man with guns, and there it is.
Swords, yeah.
So there you go. Any final thoughts on this issue? Jolie, 1 to 10, what will you give it?
I give it 3 taxidermy unicorns out of 5.
Oh, out of 5. All right.
Let's do a 5. Let's keep it tight. It's only issue 2.
I'll say so. Jolie's using an entirely different scale.
Yeah, we go to 10.
Yeah, so I guess the equivalent would be 6 stuffed unicorns.
Yes.
Out of 10 then. So, all right.
See, you know what's hilarious is I love this, and I was going to give it a 6. So clearly I have to give it a higher number because Jolie hated it. So
No.
I don't know. I guess on a 1980s superhero scale, I give it an 8.
Wow. All
right. But, I mean, in an overall scale of everything I've read, I'd give it a 6. What would you give it, Mike Dell?
I'll probably go, this is going to surprise you, but I'll go with 7, actually.
Oh,
a little higher. Because, yes, the dialogue's terrible. The plot holes are abundant. But George Perez does good stuff here. And I like seeing the superhero team book, you know. And there's a lot of fights in this, and I love fights.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wacky sound effects. Wang.
Yeah.
Boof and Thok and all kind of stuff. So I think it's good fun. A good fun superhero team book.
I agree.
Again, it's flawed. Don't get me wrong. It is very flawed. But I still enjoyed it. It was fun. So.
Yeah, do you know what? Everyone gets some action, and it's kind of like awesome.
Yes, because, Michael, we did that Avengers book last week. And remember, like, Miss Marvel, she did absolutely nothing. A complete afterthought.
That's true.
And there were a couple other who had nothing to do basically. But here, every Teen Titan is prominent. They're doing something, you know.
Yeah.
No one's just in the background, forgotten about. And you get the side thing going on with Raven, so you're kind of intrigued, like what's going on there? And I guess what is the storyline now? That her dad wants Raven to open a portal to Earth so he can invade Earth or something.
I think so. Yeah. He's like a demon. Yeah. So there you go. That's like some classic, foreshadowing and setting up subplots and stuff, right?
Yeah, and I really like the twist of the plot of the Hive manipulating the whole situation. They intentionally killed his son in order to get Deathstroke. So I like that. But the problem there is, again, the motivate. Why is Deathstroke not able to see that? His brain is working at 90% capacity.
Good point.
How come he can't figure out that Hive just manipulated him? So that's a big flaw as well. But still, I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I really enjoy it. Yeah.
All right. So next week, get your tickets, Michael. We're going to Wakanda.
All right.
Yeah, we're going to go Jungle Action number 10.
Whoa.
From 1974. This was in the midst of the Rage of the Panther stuff that made Black Panther famous.
Interesting. So, I think I might have read this. Jungle Action number 10.
Number 10.
Okay.
And there's a fella in here named King Cadaver.
Okay.
And wait till you get a load of this guy. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
And I believe this was written by McGregor, right?
John McGregor, yes.
And the artist in this one is Billy Graham.
The superstar, the wrestler.
Yeah, superstar Billy Graham.
That's right.
Part-time televangelist?
Yeah, part-time TV evangelist,
Billy Graham.
part-time professional wrestler, and part-time comic book artist.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a boxer and a footballer, too.
Wow, a lot of Billy Grahams in the world.
Oh, no. That's great. Forget it. Just a boxer.
Did the guy who invented the Graham's crackers, was he also named Billy?
Maybe.
Graham Cracker inventor.
That'd be something. William Fitzgerald Graham. I don't know. All right. Anyway, so next week, Jungle Action 10 with the Black Panther.
Sweet. So
Thanks, Jolie.
Yeah.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Number 4 in the books for Jolie.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you are in quarantine, like we have 33 episodes before this one. So feel free to go back and find them. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all under Comic Book Syndicate because we're like, as confusing as possible.
We're also on Pornhub now because of this Teen Titans issue.
That's right. Yep.
So
you can find us there. Feel free to comment. Feel free to email us at mail@comicbooksyndicate.com.
We especially love it when you tell us where we got it wrong. So.
Yep. We know you're out there. We know you haven't said anything yet, but we know you're listening. Go ahead, Mike Dell.
Well, I was just going to ask, do you have an update on how many correspondence we have received?
Hold on. Let me just check my notes. 0. Yep. Still 0. Okay. So. Right. Set the double check. Carry the 1. Yep. 0. Okay. So please feel free to write. Let us know what you think. Let us know. Maybe you could pick some comics, whatever. Let us know if we're doing a good job or not. Maybe you can send us some money. We're not on Patreon yet, but maybe we will be one day if we get more than 5 downloads. Anyway, so everything's going good. So we'll see you next time. We pick a different Bronze Age comic every week. So until next Tuesday, disperse.